just want to shout out, our families, the homies, CLG, and every single person who loves and supports teams.
Teams!
Hey, welcome back, guys. What's up? This is episode 28 of the CLG Faithful Podcast.
Yeah.
You know who we are.
Episode 28, man. Can't believe it. We passed like 2 weeks ago. We passed halfway point. And we're still going strong.
Yeah. Absolutely. And we plan to go all the way.
Absolutely.
Keep going for at least another year.
At least.
At least. So this week, there's actually not that much that happened in CLG-related news. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to talk about what did happen, and then we're going to come back around toward League of Legends, and we're going to give you a little bit of a preview for playoffs.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about the actual games that CLG played. So Smash, and then we'll come back around, talk about playoffs, and kind of give our opinions on how we think it's going to go.
Yep. I do want to say that if you are a CSGO fan, there is a video that came out with IMAPAD and FNS. They were discussing the CLG roster. IMAPAD talks about things such as why he left. I know FNS and IMAPAD also talk about some of the team's work ethic and whatnot. And it's worth listening to if any of you are CSGO fans. At least CLG CSGO fans.
Absolutely.
And it's not all that happy for us, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, IMAPAD, he's got his take on it, and I mean, if you looked at our results after losing him, not the best.
Nope. But we're just going to leave it at that for now,
yeah.
And let's just move on straight to Smash.
Yeah.
So we do have a correction to make from last week.
Yeah, so last week I mentioned that no one plays Falco in SoCal and NorCal, and someone in the comments definitely called me out on that. It was a poor research on my part. I don't get to watch nearly as much Smash as I'd wish to, and it's usually only the CLG guys playing, so I don't always get to see people like Westballs dominating on Falco, so I apologize for that.
All right, so let's talk with a guy who we've not seen in a while.
Yeah.
PewPewU.
PewPewU. Holy. It's been a few weeks since we've actually got to see some, competitive PewPewU play. He's definitely been streaming, though. I've been popping into his streams every now and then when he's on there streaming, but he streams at weird times for myself, at least.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, so how does he do at this tournament?
Yeah, so Super Smash Con 2017 was going on last weekend, and PewPewU was in full attendance. Him and SFAT showed up, and they did their doubles. So we'll start with melee singles, and yes, in his pools, PewPewU crushed it, as usual. I mean, what else would you expect? Taking out Chow, Fear Turkey, Corn Cob King, 229, and Plank, all of them 2-0. He then beat DizKid Boogie 2-1. Unfortunately, his next opponent in the Pools Winners Finals ended up being Leffen. And that's where PewPewU took his first loss, falling to Leffen at 1-3 in Pools, meaning he's going to start off his bracket phase in the loser's bracket, meaning he only has one loss.
Bit of bad luck, really.
Yeah, it kind of bad luck in Pools, especially Pools when you come up and you face off against, Leffen, or even if, somehow they faced off against SFAT, that would be, the absolute worst, in my opinion.
Or just any of the big name players.
Any big name player in the pools. As a big name player themselves, it kind of sucks because a lot of the time in the pools it's set up so that most likely won't happen. But at an event like this where there are so many large, huge name players coming in, that it's impossible. And PewPewU hasn't been around for a while, so he probably got not quite as best seeding. Anyways. From the losers bracket, he faced off against Jerry, whom he pretty much deconstructed 3-0. It was actually a really good matchup and pretty close, but Jerry he's an older player that's kind of coming back a little bit. He actually used to be Obi, and basically PewPewU's experience in tough situations and facing off against an opponent trying something a little different really kind of shine through here. Let him win it. It was great. Next up was Cyrax, who PewPewU beat down 3-0 yet again. Westballs was next up, and aside from Leffen, was PewPewU's real first challenge outside of the pool stage. After a tough full 5 matches, PewPewU came out victorious 3-2. Axe was his opponent next, and that guy gave PewPewU a really hard time. I think he always gives Pew a hard time. Close matches, but unfortunately, PewPewU did go down 0-3, meaning he finishes in melee singles in 7th place. So at least a top 8 showing by PewPewU in his first match.
Considering that he's not played for quite a bit, that's actually a really good finish.
Yeah, it's a really good finish.
All things considered.
Absolutely.
And I like how you put well balls instead of West balls.
I put well balls. Very nice. Very nice.
I was like,
well balls.
Is that supposed to be West balls? Is that someone different?
It was supposed to be West balls.
So SFAT starts off phase 1 C5, and he starts off in the winners round 2 against TH, and he handily wins that match 2-0. From there, he goes up against a really mediocre Falco, and yeah, no, that's his name. Yep. And he lives up to the name. 2-0 for SFAT. Then he proceeds to move on to the winners semis against Ulsi, and again, another solid 2-0 finish. Finally, he finishes up the pool against Umbra, and the clean 2-0 proceeds to sweep him and proceeds to phase 2. From there, he faces Silly Willy and Drunk Sloth, both of whom he wins against 2-0. From there, he goes up against G2's Westballs, same guy we mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Except this is going to be in the phase 1 winners finals, and this, 0-2.
Ouch.
Yeah, he gets knocked down to the losers round, and from there, he actually starts off against Liquid's Chudat. And this is a really close series, but ultimately, he does close it out and pick up the win, 3-2. From there, he goes up against his demon.
Ugh.
It's TSM Leffen, and this is the losers round 3.
Yeah.
Now, we'd love to say that Leffen, which is like, oh, SFAT. Nope, can't do it. That guy always beats me, gonna drop out. No. So what actually happens is Leffen claims that he's too sick to play, and I want to say he also mentioned something about controller issues. Can't quite remember from his tweet, but either way, he drops out, and SFAT basically thanks his lucky stars that he doesn't have to face his demon.
Yeah. Leffen was, I believe he was actually pretty sick. He was in an intense amount of pain and dropped out.
I just said that.
Yeah.
I just said that. Okay. Apparently you didn't listen to me.
I listened. I was just saying he was very sick in an intense amount of pain. That's what his tweet was
it's
about.
tough to play.
It's
tough to play when you're sick.
Especially when you're coming from Sweden.
Right. So SFAT gets a free win from there, and he actually gets to move on to losers round 4. From there, he plays against the local hometown player, a guy named Zane. And this guy shows up big time. So in the first game, SFAT actually chokes pretty hard. Zane gets 3 super quick stocks, and he only loses 1 in the process. And he does this with some really good punishes and some F smashes with the tip of the Falcon, and he follows them up with aggressive edge guarding. And SFAT he keeps trying to play one way, and he just keeps getting red and countered. So it looks like SFAT's about to tilt after he loses his second to last stock, but then he manages to pick one up and but Zane sends him flying towards the left-hand side of Fountain of Dreams. And from here, SFAT's on his last stock. It looks like he's about to die. What does Zane do? He tries to go on style on him. Now, this actually backfires. The SFAT's able to pick up a kill, and he follows up another one in rapid succession. And this gives him a little bit of confidence. And now they're down to their last stocks. SFAT's at 77%, and Zane forces him off the right-hand side of the stage. From there, SFAT just desperately tries to recover. Zane actually dodges toward the left, and SFAT tries to use his Foxfire again, and he chokes and just falls straight down.
Oh, man, that's the worst.
So that did not go so well.
No.
Games 2 and 3 did not go much better. Near the end of the third game, he shows a little bit of promise on Dreamland, but man, it still did not go well. The crowd is on Zane's side. He's able to pick up the win.
Oh, man.
So, unfortunately for our boy, this ends his tournament run at 7th place.
Yeah, so the tied for 8th place. So 7th place for SFAT PewPewU. Not bad showing. Kind of sucks that SFAT kind of goes out with a little bit of a choke, though.
Right. I mean, Not bad for PewPewU, just because he hasn't been playing for a little bit, so you'd expect him to be placing a little bit lower.
Absolutely.
But you also expect more from SFAT too, considering how good he's been this year in general.
Yeah. But hey, you know what? Top 8 finished. You can't really complain too much. That's really all you can ask for in Smash.
Right.
With the amount of competition
considering the boys synchronized and they got 7th place.
Exactly. They synchronized their melee singles scores. They're like, all right, got 8th place. Let's partner up and duo.
Right. So in the pools, they go up against teams of Drag Navy, Dart Ziddler and Zorn, Crunkle and Jimmy's, followed by DJ Nintendo 4%, and Rishi and LLOD, and they all get 2-0'd by the two. From there, they move up into the winner's bracket, and they go off against Axe and West Balls, the two guys who gave us a tough time in singles. And of course, it's a tough match, but this time, PewFat aren't fighting them alone; they're fighting them together. They work around the Pikachu Falco combo, and they beat them 3-2. From there, it goes up against Mewtwo King and Pulp, another really close series.
Plop. And
the Sheik and Fox combo. They're again, it's always really, really tough when you're fighting against these two. And these two are both veteran duos. So it takes them all the way up to Game 5. And unfortunately, they get knocked out into the loser's bracket 2-3. From here, they get placed directly into the losers finals, and they go up against Axe and West Balls one more time. This time, though, they're pretty pissed off, and they've learned what happened last time. They win 3-1. From there, it goes right back to the grand finals against Mewtwo King and Plup. So, first round, complete destruction by the PewFat team. Clean 3-0 sweep for them. And now, because PewFat came from the loser side of the bracket, they need to beat them one more time. And this ends up becoming a really close back and forth match. PewFat takes the first game, Plup King takes the second. From here, it's a really, really close Game 3. PewFat's able to clutch it out and take the match point. From there, it goes into match 4, and it's actually really odd. PewFat goes down pretty quickly, and as if, they just started this really off game, and they just wanted to reset. You know what? It's not even worth trying this. We're probably just going to tilt ourselves. Just forget about it. Move on. So it goes down to Game 5. Last one to take it all. And, oh man, is it one hell of a doozy. It's down to the final stocks for everyone. PewFat knocks Mewtwo King out of the game and leaves only Plup left alive. Plup puts up one hell of a fight and almost takes out SFAT at one point. But in the end, the two reign supreme. And the crowd chants PewFat, and the boys take home first place at SmashCon 2017.
Mm-hmm. Gosh, it was a good final game to watch. Highly recommend checking out the VOD. If you get the chance. Mm-hmm. It's a really good fight. And I mean,
it's really fun.
Nothing is better than basically hearing the crowd chant CLG and PewFat. Like, it's amazing. The crowd just went wild.
Oh yeah, it's about just half an hour of fun to watch.
Exactly. So
there was also a little something else that happened too.
Yeah. So every year at Super Smash Con, they have an event, an award show. On the similar vein of kind of like the Oscars or Grammys. It's called the Smashies. Now, they have a one for best doubles team in Melee. And other people in there, so PewFat's in there. There's also the Armada Mewtwo King, the Leffen Ice, and the Armada Android duos in there. But you know who wins? Freaking PewFat wins the Best Doubles Team in Melee award to a fantastic 4 or 5 piece string, like a string quartet, so 4-piece quartet just going on, playing that typical award music. The boys get to come up, give a sweet little speech, and basically they are long live the Kings.
Damn right there. Yeah. They sure as hell deserved after the performance they put up.
Absolutely. Like today, like this happened on day 2. So it was before they won Smash, the finals.
SmashCon.
Before they won doubles. And it just, it was an overall over the year thing, and they were the ones who were voted up as the best duos.
It's probably best that they won too, because it'd be really awkward if they were to lose the next day. Like,
It kind of would too, you know. Like it's like, oh, okay, great, you guys won best duo, and then you didn't win first place at our event. Come on now, what the hell? Oh well. So there was also Wii U there, and we get to see some Void and NAKAT play on the same event, which is pretty fantastic.
All right. So tell me, how does Void do? Let's start with him.
So Void was up and at 'em for SmashCon 2017, and he did not disappoint. In his pools, he beat Kiter and Fuzzman both 2-0. Next up, he was up against Deployment, a Ryu player who I'm pretty certain here, Ryu is not one of the more common characters in Smash. He's definitely as one of the ones that they've kind of added in as new ones, not nearly as popular as like Bayonetta or Cloud, who are just kind of overpowered right now.
What?
Even though Ryu is pretty cool.
Strong?
I know, right? No.
Come on.
Now, I do want to mention that later on, there is actually Mega Man in Smash 4 actually gets an ability. He gets to use Shoryuken, and Ryu gets to use Shoryuken. Yeah. But Mega Man's Shoryuken is actually kind of like a little better. It's kind of funny. It's like even the guy who is like famous for his Hadouken and Shoryuken, like not I don't know. It's funny. Anyways, the Ryu player,
it's from that series.
Exactly.
I mean.
The Ryu player did take a game off Void, but in the end, Void takes him down 2-1. Next up was Pootie Tang, who Void took out a simple 2-0. DJ Jack and JK were his next opponents in pools, who both went out 2-0 to the hand of Void. In the final round of pools, he beats 6WX, a Sonic player, 3-1. From this point on, Void had a pretty tough set. His first opponent was Zero, who ended up Void took 2 games off of, but Zero in the end beats Void 3-2. Right after that,
makes that reverse sweep.
Yeah, right after that, he comes up against Nairo. So it's like basically like 2 Smash 4 gods, like right back to back. It was pretty bad. Void tries his damnedest, but in the end, he goes out 1-3, and right into the brackets. You fight. He ended up fighting the eventual first and second place players respectively. So a great showing by Void, taking 9th place. Not top 8, but you know what? Kind of getting that hand dealt to you right out of bracket stages kind of sucks.
just a little.
Yeah. It'd be like if you were like some no-name player who somehow like fluked his way to into the bracket stages and kind of like
I thought you were making a Dardock reference.
As fluking is our way to Worlds, fluke the way to Worlds, the bracket stages. And yeah, so he ends up going in there, and he puts up a good fight, but in the end, 9th place, not bad. So why don't you tell me about NAKAT?
Sure. So NAKAT's actually back from Mexico, and he was up for SmashCon. Absolutely. He goes up against PP-Man, Vanilla, Poe, and Tengu. And you know what? He decides, let's go get a 2-0 against all of them. But then he goes up against Peanut. And Peanut is a Mega Man match. And unfortunately, this is the only streamed match for NAKAT. And I was watching it, and NAKAT, he puts up a really good fight, but ultimately he does go down 2-0 to Peanut. And winning this match, watching this match, it was pretty clear that NAKAT was getting more and more frustrated. You could just see him putting in that moment of intense concentration, and then he gets surprised by the first kill, because he starts off with a really early offensive. Then he's surprised by the first death that he has.
Yeah.
And then Mega Man just keeps on poking him with the Buster Shot and keeps his distance. From there.
He did good. He did good distance keeping for sure. It was, I think, the commentators were talking about how the use of the metal disc, like
Right.
completely through. I like from watching it every time it came out, or even the up airs with the whirlwind. I forget what it's called. Like he was not expecting any of that.
No, he was not. And you could really tell in the second game when they were playing on Final Destination.
Yeah.
He was just not comfortable with that matchup. He didn't quite know it, and some of the casters mentioned quite a few times that he was trying to DI out of some stuff when he should have just been air dodging.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
And this is the match where the Mega Man pulls out the Shoryuken and actually takes a stock off NAKAT with the Shoryuken.
Did see that.
And I was like, oh.
Yeah, so you could tell he got a little tilt during that.
He did.
So from there, he actually starts off in losers round 3 pools, and he goes up against Rich Brown. And I don't know what it is. Maybe he's still shaken after that match against Peanut, but he goes down 1-2, and he's out of the tournament.
Yeah, in pools. It was a rather brutal showing by NAKAT. You could tell he was clearly angry with himself for his performance, and it's just like he got frustrated with that Mega Man match, and then I guess he just couldn't shake it. I don't know. Anyways, he gets out tied for 81st. But
yeah, not what we've come to expect from NAKAT.
No, not at all. But we do want you to know, NAKAT, if you are listening, man, we believe. We believe.
And thanks for listening.
Yeah, and thanks for listening. Holy crap, right? We love you, buddy. We love you.
Hey, come on the show.
Yeah.
All right. So we do get to see a little bit of VoiDKAT too, because we had PewFat play. We can't have VoiDKAT not play.
Exactly, right? Like VoiDKAT shows up for something, they gotta play.
So how do those two do?
Yeah. So yeah, we got both our doubles teams back in action, and man, you know what? If NAKAT had a bad singles, he definitely did not have a bad doubles. In pools, they crushed it. 2-0ing Macho Cheese, Pizza Dough, On Cracked, and Candy Thief. Like these people's names, right? Hammer, and this was one of my favorite ones. I actually misspelled it here. The guy was Hammer and Slayanetta. Like what the? And then 8-Bit Man and Daft. So they 2-0'd all those guys.
8-Bit D-Man.
8-Bit D-Man. 8-Bit Man. It was just 8-Bit Man.
Where did
I was terrible at typing today, apparently.
Okay.
And then in the pools
Where did
quarters,
they come up with these names?
I don't know where they get their names from. It's weird. In the pools quarters, they faced off against ESAM and MVD, who they took down 2-1. Right into the winners semis, they come up against Tweak and Sm4sh. This was a really fun match to watch. Highly recommend going to watch it. And our boys take it 3-2. Right after that, they faced off against the dastardly duo of MK Leo and Komirikiri. The stupid double cloud duo, man. It's ridiculous to watch two clouds play. It's just so many easy, like really easy KOs. Because
that's all I have to say. It's just
it's
dumb.
like they have like clouds. Real weakness is being off stage, and it's really hard to keep two clouds off stage when they can just use their limit break and take you out. It's unfortunately VoiDKAT did go down to them 1-3. Then for a little bit of revenge or preemptive revenge, I forget if this match happened before Void faced off against Zero and Nairo. It's Zero and Nairo against VoiDKAT. But you know what? VoiDKAT together, they like fusion dance together, and they're like, we're better than first and second place. A tough battle, yes, but you know what? They were victorious 3-2.
All right.
Yeah.
So how's the grand finals go?
So the grand finals come up, and I mean, it's the guys who just sent them down to the losers finals. It's the duo Cloud again, MK Leo and Komirikiri. Unfortunately, I guess they just like watched the Zero Nairo game and were like, oh, okay, we've got NAKAT and Void's number, and they take us out 3-0. But you know what?
Damn.
This means that Void and NAKAT finished second place in Wii U doubles. A really, really good showing by the boys.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially for NAKAT, like, that singles kind of showing was probably pretty brutal. But like to be able to come back and again get into doubles and just crush it and get second place, I mean, that's going to be a nice confidence booster right there.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, moving on, for Overwatch, I just wrote the summer skins are out.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot of Overwatch stuff. Apparently, we're still down a person, I believe. Like, we don't have a full roster. So, hopefully, maybe with a little bit of this MSG injection money, we might be able to kind of get something rolling there or something. I mean, I don't know what's happening in Overwatch, truthfully. Like, I know that they're trying to franchise, but it's like, what is it? Was it like $20 million franchise buy-in or something stupid like that?
I mean, all the endemic esports orgs that haven't been bought out,
Yeah.
there's no way they can afford it, and now you need big money. So in theory, CLG can now afford it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to.
Yeah.
No one really seems to know what's going on with the Overwatch team, or just Overwatch in general.
No, I personally find it hard to watch. Like, just
Yeah, it's very difficult to watch, and Blizzard, their let's just say their past experience with esports
Not good.
is, yeah, it's a little less than stellar.
Yeah. I mean, just look at Hearthstone. Like, they basically, I don't know if they've completely canceled it now, but I mean, the biggest reason that CLG dropped the Hearthstone team
No one watched
was because no one was watching Hearthstone, and Blizzard just kind of was like, yeah, we're not doing this anymore.
Look, there's only so much RNG I can care to watch.
Yeah, exactly. I found like watching it kind of difficult, Hearthstone. Just like, I don't mind a good card game, but when it just comes down to RNG,
Somewhere out there is a Hearthstone, so it's super avid about it.
Oh, absolutely.
No, I'm done.
Yeah, they just stopped listening right now.
I mean, they could go play Magic or something.
They could.
But,
They could.
Yeah. So other than that, I think it's time to circle back around to League.
Absolutely. I think so. I think we can get some of our playoff info going on.
Oh, I mean, I was going to talk about how Special is still in LCS.
He is still in LCS. Yeah, sort of.
Sort of.
Until, like, what? Like, Worlds? Once Worlds is over?
They 3-0'd, and Liquid's still in.
Yeah, Liquid's still in.
So,
I mean, it hasn't been like 3 or 4 splits in a row now that no LCS team has been knocked out of relegations. It's definitely been a while.
I think it's 3 splits now in a row.
Yeah,
for sure.
Something like that, where no LCS team has been removed by relegation.
It really shows you the gap between the lower level teams and challenger teams.
It absolutely does. Like, there's just, especially with franchising coming up, there's so much. Like, if you're a team that's gonna, like, we're gonna be part of League of Legends no matter what, you can kind of invest a little bit into, bringing up these big name players, or the top challenger players, and giving them a little bit of time and practice. Be like, hey, you're part of our team now. We signed you on. Like, get good. And yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah.
But if you look at the promo tournament, look at some of the names that are in there. You have former world champions with Piglet. You have Dandy. You have big names like Mad Life in there. Like, what?
Yeah, I mean, you have a huge name in Special.
They're just stuck in NALCS, ELO Hell.
Yeah, pretty much. They're just
or NA Challenger, really.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of on that cusp, right? It's, who knows? I mean, you know what? You can look at it as, what is it called? Like Premier League, soccer, football.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot about it, but like talking with people who do, there's just such a huge disparity between when you get promoted up to the Premier League, you basically have no money.
Your sole goal is to survive. And that's pretty much the same way with a lot of challenger teams that get promoted. Your sole goal for that first split is just to survive. And then following that, your goal is to improve and potentially make a playoff run.
Exactly.
Even just get to playoffs.
You have to get up and stay out of relegations. Like, so you got to basically do like a Gravity or a Team 8. And I mean, you can almost kind of say FlyQuest, but I mean, at the same time, FlyQuest was essentially Cloud9 OG. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on the other news, Liquid is still here,
Yeah.
and it looks like their Dota team is going to be funding their franchise.
Yeah, I
investment.
think so. Because they just won $10 million.
Yeah, so for those out of the loop, Liquid's Dota team actually won the International 7.
Yeah. $10 million.
Liquid's actually doing good in something.
Yep. Something that CLG should definitely look into getting into. I think.
Yeah, well, their CSGO team used to be good, but those are more simple times as well.
Yeah.
All right, let's just move on to Envy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Actually, before we do that, I do want to mention, so Riot frequently produces the Pocket Pick videos, and they just came out one with our boy Huhi.
Yeah.
And you know what champion they did it on.
Of course. Aurelion Sol. I mean, who else would you pick for Huhi?
Yeah, so he actually starts talking a little bit about why he loves the champion. There was also an interview done a few weeks ago, and he talks just a little bit on how to play it, gives a few tips if you're starting out with Sol, and they also make a few references, such as the first time he picked it at MSI.
Oh, yes.
Just do you remember how big that star was?
That was so huge.
Oh.
Like, it took up the entire lane, and then some. There was literally like no dodging that star. Like it was ridiculous.
So I mean, Huhi mentioned that he does want to one day be able to pull off a 5-man stun and then just one-shot people and burst them down. He also mentioned the Rocks Tigers game.
Yeah.
Never forget that.
Never forget.
Never forget that.
Never forgetty.
And actually, this weekend passed on August 12th.
Yeah.
Was Ziklaw's birthday.
Yeah.
That is Tony.
So,
Coach Tony.
Happy belated birthday, Tony. Like, keep it up, dude.
And our boys were throwing some shade at Tony in some of his drafts. So Darshan tweets out, "Happy birthday to the best coast in the West, Ziklaw. P.S. Draft me a tank one more time and see what happens."
Yep. And then Stixay goes, "Happy birthday, Zekeslaw. Love you when you pick me Varus. Keep up the great work," with the shade smiley.
Huhi then says, "Happy birthday, Ziklaw. Thanks for not picking me Aurelion Sol when it's the only champion I can play."
And then, of course, Aframu has to chime in. "Happy birthday, Zekeslaw. Thanks for picking me Karma and Zyra. Appreciate you, bro."
The fans do too.
Fans.
It's actually August 11th. My bad.
Yeah, August 11th. Yes, yes.
And Omar Guard's like, I'm not gonna say.
Yeah,
anything.
he just stays quiet. He's like, if I say anything right now, Tony might stare at me with daggers in his eyes. Be like, "Oh yeah, we've got more players now. You want to sub?" Oh.
Hey man, we're not Liquid. We don't have
Liquid.
15 players per position.
Exactly.
He does mention that the team's looking strong coming into playoffs.
Yep.
Wants to show them how much they've improved. I, for one, am looking forward to seeing Omar God.
Yeah, me too. I'd like to see
And
him in playoffs.
Yeah, I want to see how Omar God does against Lyra, who I think is, as everyone will tell you, he's the one focal point of Envy. He's and they're different from other teams because they play around their jungle.
Yeah. They, like, the amount of jungle play around that Envy really does is kind of amazing. Even when CLG had Smithy in jungle, he was more of the kind of farm up a little bit, and then maybe if you're playing Gragas, do that really like cheesy level 2 gank. You know, like the body slam Q gank just to like get them. But we've never really played a lot against that, like, kind of, or we've never played with that jungle focus. We always seem to focus on either the top, mid, or bottom lane, whichever is more advantageous for us against that team.
Right, because Smithy's always been that heavy control style jungler, focusing on neutralizing the enemy jungler.
Exactly.
Trying to control them, place that vision,
and getting
doing
the
all the dirty
objectives.
work for the team. Yeah, he's doing all the dirty work for the team.
Yeah, like, you know, stealing Drakes with Kindred alts.
He's stolen a lot of stuff.
He's stolen a lot.
So, we can expect Lyra to either be put on a carry champion or something that can apply early game pressure.
Yeah.
That something like Elise, possibly the Nidalee, things like that.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, Nidalee's probably going to be a pretty...
It is the tank meta, though. Or tank jungler meta at the very least.
Yep.
So,
I mean, Mike Young has shown that Nidalee can pretty much carry almost any time in the right hands.
If she gets far enough ahead,
Exactly.
she'll just take everything in jungle.
Exactly.
Oh my god, we saw him pretty much only play Gragas, or because it's CLG, Gragas.
Yep.
It must have
It
Gragas.
was Gragas or Gragas. There was no real in between.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see what else he plays. Maybe he'll pull out some more tank champions, something like Sejuani.
Yeah.
and the
Hey,
likes.
maybe he's really good at Rammus. Apparently, right now you can just at a certain speed, you just go invisible as Rammus. Multiple champions do it, but it's really easy on Rammus because of Powerball. You hit that certain move speed and you become invisible and teleport to the other players. Fantastic.
Wait, this is
This
actually,
is
a bug or
on like anyone who hits certain champions, I believe. I'm not sure if it's all champions, but champions hitting a certain speed, including Zac. Zac's W, he can teleport in basically he's invisible to.
That's terrifying.
It's terrifying. A Zac or Rammus, like flash Q or like W in, that is a terrifying thing. I mean, obviously, if that happened, they'd get a remake or a rollback.
Yeah.
But still, like, that's...
Interesting.
Who knows? I mean, I think personally, because I love Rammus, that God could pull out the Rammus.
Wait, you do?
I love Rammus. Rammus is my favorite champion, if you check.
I think quite obviously everyone will also point out to God being the weakest point of the team right now.
Yeah.
Obviously the newest player, least amount of experience, least amount of time to gel with him. And the question is, how much has he gelled with the team in this very short amount of time?
Exactly.
And he's replacing some pretty big shoes. Obviously Xmithy, because he plays much more like Xmithy than he does like Dardoch.
Yep.
But he's still replacing Dardoch too, who he was always willing to make those aggressive invades, even the ones that make you scratch your head and wonder why. Toss down those question mark pings.
Yep. It's so it is going to be that, like, if Envy is going to play against that being our weakest link, that could actually be something that we could welcome them in and be like, okay, look, God, you're going to have a hard early game, but this is going to allow us to kind of boost our other lanes because it's going to take attention off of them.
Possibly, right? It depends how and where he tries to play.
He would have to play champions that are okay with kind of getting behind. So, a Gragas.
So, tanks.
Gragas is a fantastic champion that, if behind, can still make big plays because, they obviously want to absorb a lot of damage. But the biggest thing with Gragas is landing that body slam and then landing the flat or the cask.
We keep mentioning other tank champions. Why do we even bother? We just know Ziggs is going to draft us
Gragas. There's no choice. Unless there's like some game-breaking bug, which would actually be
awful.
You
CLG jungler? You play Gragas.
You play Gragas, yeah. And if you don't play Gragas, we'll give it to Darshan.
Right. So, speaking of Darshan, let's talk about the extremely lopsided matchup. I mean, you've got just some random guy named Darshan. He's going up against the solo queue god Seraph.
The solo queue god Seraph. I mean, this is actually probably going to be one of the most interesting matchups because it's going to be so even. Both, like, look, seriously,
what?
Like, if you look at this.
Explain.
Yes. So, Seraph is just, like, he's really good on tank, and that's what the meta is right now.
Do you remember CLG Seraph?
Hey, CLG Seraph.
Do you remember that?
CLG Seraph is different from Envy Seraph right now.
Yeah, he was better.
Okay. I have seen some games on carry champions. Seraph has done quite the job carrying Envy as far as they
Right. I mean, he plays the carry champion, sure, but he's not much of a tank player.
His Shen play is pretty good.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's the only thing.
Okay, we'll ban the Shen.
So ban Shen, ban Nidalee. Done. We've beaten Envy. Game over. We win.
Oh, well, we should go tell Tony right now.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me tweet to Tony right now. I'm going to tweet to Tony.
Yeah.
I'm doing that right now.
I just expect Darshan to dismantle Seraph.
Ban Shen and Nidalee from...
Hey, you're actually tweeting?
I am. Team Envy. Is that their Twitter? Yep. Team Envy. Thanks. Tweet.
Okay.
just said.
I think this is pretty. Darshan has been playing out of his mind. He's arguably the best top laner in NA right now.
Absolutely.
Perhaps you can make an argument for Someday, possibly Flame, but he's definitely up there.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? Someday and Flame, they're not
or
natural.
even Haunter.
Yeah. Like Someday and Flame are imports. So the benefit of Darshan is that he's natural. Right? So
he speaks English.
He speaks English. So, I mean, you know, and he's it's Darshan, man. Like, you look at this guy's face and you're like, how can you not love him?
I love his attitude.
Yeah, he's calm under pressure, and I think that's one of the biggest selling points for the CLG playoff is that, you know, we don't really tilt. You might tilt one game, but we come into the next game with a clean slate.
Definitely.
That's the power of CLG in playoffs.
If we're going to talk about people who just don't tilt, what about Huhi?
Huhi's just amazing at that. Like, he's like, you know, he can be down. He can be 0-8. And he's like, I don't care. I'm playing Orianna. Let's go, boys.
So I know the big MVP contention this split has been... There's quite a few legitimate candidates. There's Smithy, there's Bjergsen, there's Jensen, who's having a breakout split.
Yep.
All that. But I think Huhi should at least be mentioned.
I think so
in contention
as well.
for MVP. He's been playing super well this split.
But at the same time, I think the reason that Huhi is never really that contention for the MVP of the split is because he's so quiet. Like, he's not on Twitter, you know, being that, like, you know, like shit talking and all that stuff. He's playing League and having an amazing time doing it, and then having an amazing time being on CLG.
So it also comes down to your definition of MVP, right? You look at Cloud9, you take Jensen out of Cloud9,
and they're nothing.
And they struggle super heavily. Yeah. Whereas if you take Bjergsen, who's just been so solid and performed so well on TSM.
I mean, Bjergsen...
TSM still has carries with Double If. They can still put Hanser to carry. And Bjergsen has been playing a variety of playstyles with, you know, the tanky Gallium and whatnot. Jensen has just been solo killing everyone. So that's always there. He's been really carrying Cloud9. Huhi actually has been drawing a ton of target bans. He's got the second most target bans. Yeah. I believe it's at 69, whereas Bjergsen at 7.
Yeah. 69 target bans. And was it 32 different champions?
I think 30... I don't remember that. I'm trying to remember how many of them were Aurelian Soul bans.
Oh, 32 were Aurelian Soul bans. That's what it was.
Yeah.
32
and
Aurelian
it's
Soul
a little
bans.
difficult because you say, like, oh, is, you know, Galileo being targeted against Bjergsen or just because it's a flex pick, you know. It gets a little tricky depending on how you put it.
Yep.
But that was just a stat one of the writers tweeted out.
But, like,
it's kind of interesting.
How can you really, like, say that Aurelian Soul is a target ban against anyone else? You know, like...
Oh, it's absolutely.
There's no one
that
else
one's easy.
That you would ban Aurelian Soul against.
If you saw something like a Syndra versus Bjergsen, people would probably say that's a target ban. But if you say Galio, you're like, well, is that just because Galio is really strong?
Yeah.
It's a flex pick. Can go into 4 different lanes.
Exactly.
So, you know.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that leaves us with basically the bot lanes. And, I mean, it's...
Aframu, please turn in.
Yeah. Aframu, just...
I mean, this is playoffs. We're expecting good things from him.
Yeah, just play...
No Karma, no Zyra.
No Karma, no Zyra, please, Zekeslaw. You know, pick our boy, like, Morgana. Pick our boy Thresh.
Or Alistair.
Alistair.
Braum.
I want to say Blitzcrank, but at the same time, like, I feel like a few of the wins with Blitzcrank were really fluky. And I hate to say fluky, but, like, some of them, they really didn't deserve the win. It's just, like, they got it because the other team messed up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, he's played well on Blitzcrank, but he hasn't played solid. His early game is, like, you know, there's one game I remember him playing it in that was really important, and he missed, like, almost every hook. Like, every big hook, he blew flash hook, completely whiffed it.
Right. Then he gets the one that counts.
And then he gets the one that counts, right? Like, that's Aframu right there.
But it's also the nature of Blitzcrank, too.
Yeah.
I mean...
Blitzcrank he's that champion that...
You go big or you go home.
Exactly. If you don't hit your hooks, you're nothing. You hit your hooks, you've won your team the game.
So his counterpart is Hako, who I think has been quietly having a very solid split.
Absolutely. I mean, Hakuho is he's kind of like the quiet Hu-He of support. And that can be scary. Is that he's got a wide champion pool. I think he's played just about every support this split.
He's I want to say he's a Tarek player as well.
And he can pull, I believe.
We've not seen too much Tarek from Aframir. Actually, I don't even know if he's ever played it.
Played Tarek this split. And Tarek has definitely been a pick that's coming out a little bit more because of the tank meta and being able to kind of help save your team from taking a lot, like just being able to absorb a lot of damage as well as counter a lot of the tank engage.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk a little bit about Big Dick Say versus Apollo.
Yeah. I don't really think there's anything to talk about.
Yeah, they've both been doing pretty... Apollo's actually been pretty damn good this split.
Yeah. But it's Big Dick Say. He pulls it out when he needs it.
Right. So the question is, how does our bot lane do? Because it's been a toss-up for them.
It has been a little bit.
Are they just going to just randomly int and then... How heavy are they, or are they just going to be super solid, and then they're going to go even, or even smash the bot lane a little bit, and then they'll come out and just carry? Because once they get out of lane, they've been really good.
Yeah. Like, once they can start that roam, and just kind of be like, all right, let's team up, they've been really good. But in the last, like, few weeks, you know, we've seen in the games against TSM, the game against Immortals, like... You know, they kind of became almost negligible if they got behind too early. Like if they didn't land that flash hook, it's been tough.
Yeah. So one person we didn't mention is Niski, who's actually been quite good for Envy. He's been much more stable, obviously, than Ninja ever was.
Yep.
And he's actually pretty good. I'd say he's mid-tier, upper mid-tier.
Yeah, I mean,
for sure.
He hasn't gotten to play, I don't think, as much.
Right.
He's their mid lane sub, right?
No. Niski's their starter. Alex Each is their sub.
Oh.
You're thinking between... you're probably thinking between, what, Golden Glue, Mickey, and... Who's the other guy? No, that's it. No, they have a third mid laner too, don't they? Pyrian.
Dude, jeez.
Or is that Phoenix
Team
One?
Envyus has quite the...
I can't remember.
Roster. League of Legends.
They all suck.
Niski is, yeah. So Niski's on there. They have quite a lot of people. Holy crap. Well, they have Nien.
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah. So they've got Niski in there. Okay, I see.
I don't know. I'm just expecting a 3-1.
I'd say
versus Envy.
I'd say that's fair. I'd say
I think Envy will be able to pick up a game somewhere off the back of Lyra.
Game 2.
And yeah, possibly Game 2. You know, yeah. CLG will have their interesting level 1s.
Yep.
For Game 1. Something they might respond Game 2, and then they'll come back. That's my thought.
Yeah. I'm going to share your thought on the 3-1. We'll probably lose Game 2 or Game 3, and then just kind of sweep the rest. We're going to win Game 1, for sure. It's
complete stop, yeah. Game 1.
And then
Game 2 would be just what happened.
Yeah, like where did Game 1 go?
Game 3 be Clown Fiesta?
It could be. It could be a Clown Fiesta and then Game 4.
But what happens to Game 4?
No, Game 4 is the closeout domination. So it's CLG is like, okay. We do the CLG heart attack, right? So you're like, oh man, we're going to freaking dominate. This is easy. Oh, what just happened? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm feeling a little better here. Oh yeah. And then it's just the bandwagon ride.
We're just going to feed Seraph. So.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Yeah. Game 2, we'll just feed Seraph and he'll be on like...
So, did you know to get to the finals and win, we actually have to face former CLG members every step of the way.
Every step of the way.
We got to beat Seraph on Envy.
Yep.
Then we got to beat Pobleter and Xmithy on Immortals.
Yep.
Then we have to face Doublelift on TSM.
It's X CLG the whole way. I mean, just what better? CLG's the best team, so that's why all our X players are, right there.
X players?
Our X players.
Yeah, our X players are X.
Yeah. Our X players are X.
I don't have too much to say about this. It's CLG in playoffs.
Yeah.
I'm expecting a solid start from them. It's actually really fortunate that we're facing against Envy and not Dignitas or Cloud9.
Absolutely. I think Envy, I mean, I didn't want to lose to TSM. That sucks.
Oh, absolutely.
But you have to admit, it gave us the slightly better playoff seeding.
Oh, no, we were going to get that
Yeah.
regardless if we lost even one match against TSM.
Well, we had to...
Like, we could have won 2-1, but then TSM would have still gotten the higher seed.
But we would have faced off against TSM. We would have had the higher... We would have faced off against Dignitas. Instead. We would have been against TSM in the semifinals.
Semis. Yeah. I mean, I think I mentioned last week, and you agreed, I don't really care who we place up against. No. It's fortunate that we're against Envy right now. Yeah. Gives Omega a little bit more time to get into it.
Yeah, to get his playoff foots.
At the end of the day, our likely path is going to be we win playoffs. Mm-hmm. That's one. B, Cloud9 gets smacked silly by Dignitas and is out with 10 points, and then, 70 points?
Yeah.
And CLG gets at least second place.
Yep.
So then we go on points. Or C, we go through the gauntlet.
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 ways right now that we can make it to Worlds, and I mean, we're third best team, so unless we basically completely drop the bucket, we're going to Worlds.
Right. Now, Cloud9's interesting because they've not looked as good, but it's still Cloud9. You still can't count them out.
You can't count them out. They have
a ton of championship points.
Everyone gets that basic, playoff buff, and Cloud9 being a veteran team with a veteran ADC that has been there, done that,
mid laner having a breakout split.
Exactly. You really can't discount Cloud9. You can't discount Dignitas right now either, with how well they've gone from being a bottom of the pack team last split to they got 4th place.
Dig got 4th.
4th, yeah.
Yes.
So they get 4th place. Okay. At this point in time, they're riding high. You can't really count anyone out in playoffs. It's a whole new ball game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just to wrap things up, I actually wanted to create a new CLG spinner with just basically updating it. And for the various little things of the spinner, here's what I came up with.
Okay.
The first one is just Gragas.
Yeah.
Gragas
Flex.
Second one is Darshan Split Push Special.
Oh, the split.
With VR.
Yeah.
With VR. Narshan.
That's another split push special.
Yep. Then we've got Huhi PogChamp.
Huhi PogChamp. Don't forget Shen Darshan split push special.
Yep. And then we've got Big Dick Say.
Tristana.
Tristana or Caitlyn.
Oh, no.
More of Caitlyn.
Caitlyn. Okay, another one we need has to be Stixay Rocket Jumps Forward.
That's not been happening as much, so I didn't put that one on there. But because taking his place, I have Afremu Ints on Karma or Zyra.
Yep. Okay.
And then next I have Support So Easy.
Yep.
You never know. And then we've got play against meta OPs.
Yep.
Because that's what we do.
We do. Exactly. We play against the meta. That's just kind of how we win it a lot of the time too, which is
So that's my new and improved CLG spinner 2.0.
Yeah, I like it. I think
if anyone wants to make that, go for it, because my photo editing skills are not that good.
Then you have to send it to Riot. If you make it, you have to print it and send it to Riot.
There we go.
Yeah. Send it to whoever's going to be on the caster's desk. Kobe. Send it to Kobe. Kobe or Freak.
There we go.
Kobe or Freak will pull it out.
Yeah, they're both casting our game.
Are they? Perfect.
Yes. Then it's Kobe and Freak.
Maybe they'll both pull it out at the same time. They won't know that each other had it made or had it sent to them. Send it to both of them. And they'll pull it out and they'll be like, I've got the CLG spinner. He's like, wait, I have one of those too. Let's spin it twice. And then we'll get Afromu, Support So Easy, and then we'll get Huhi PogChamp.
I was half tempted to put Toxic Jungler, sub Omar guard for Kobe. But
Kobe's like, we're down like 2-1 or something like that, and Kobe just like, I can't take it anymore. Rips his shirt off. He's got his CLG jersey in the back. Hops on the seat where where Omar God is sitting right there, and like kicks him off. He's like, let me show you how it's done.
Yep. Yeah, I was tempted to put Jungle randomly ints, but
yeah,
it's what we've come to expect for about a year now.
Yeah, it's a little weird. You know, you never know.
Mm-hmm.
It's CLG in playoffs. We could win it, or we could not.
Let's win it.
Let's win it. That's how.
All right, and the very last thing we've got is actually there was an interview that happened with the MSG.
Oh yeah, I didn't actually get a chance to watch that. Did you?
It's actually just an article that you can read.
It's readable.
So
nice.
I'll send you a link to that, and I will actually post it in the show notes.
Awesome.
Yeah, so there's not too much you can really read into it. Basically, they're talking about how we're going to invest in esports, and they want, because they see it becoming much more like structured like the NBA and the NFL, things like that.
Absolutely.
More established brands and franchises that they're familiar with.
Yeah, with the franchising system, more people are going to be willing to invest money into this. So it's just going to be...
Right, and they've also have a little bit of experience with esports and league, and that MSG, when they had it in the past, has been sold out.
Yeah.
So they're a little familiar with it, and they're a little familiar with CLG as a team.
Absolutely. They're very familiar with CLG as a team.
Right. And they actually mentioned how they want to focus on, expanding their content and growing revenue and all that, and creating events in New York.
Yeah.
So they really wanted to make it, this CLG New York.
I mean, that could be something, because they are... What is it? The Riot's getting the... Or there's a league that's being formed around...
E-League?
The E-League. Is that it? The Overwatch E-League. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of... I thought that was pretty cool. So, I mean, maybe they're going to do a League of Legends thing like that. Or that's something that with the franchising, the franchise teams that are big, part of the LCS, could then have like an E-League style one and, bring those guys in from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just a quick interview. It's maybe a 5-10 minute read, not too long.
That's not bad.
And yeah, I think that's all we've got for this week.
Yeah, guys. Thank you very much for listening.
Yep, this has been the CLG Faithful Podcast. And we're actually a weekly podcast, and we go over all things CLG each and every single week. And if you enjoy what we do, just please take a few minutes to follow us on Twitter, subscribe on YouTube, or just give us a rating on iTunes and Google Play. We love getting feedback, so send us your thoughts, and we promise to respond. You can find us at clgfaithful@gmail.com, and you can also find us with the same name on Twitter and everything else.
Absolutely. Thanks for listening, guys. This has been Artrin.
And this has been Nefarious. We're signing off.
Peace out.